My 27 female, fiance 29 male, proposed to me a few weeks ago. It caught me entirely by surprise, but we've been together for 3 years, and things have been going great, so I was really excited and said yes. I really liked the ring when I first saw it. My friends and family all think it's stunning. It's an oval cut with diamonds across the band. I asked where he got it, and he wouldn't tell me, but he said that he got a great deal on it. I didn't think anything of it until yesterday when we were in bed, and I asked him if it was diamond or moissanite, mainly out of curiosity. I don't have a preference. He said he didn't know and would have to look it up. When I glanced at his phone, he was in the Temu app. I asked him if he got it from there and he didn't respond. So I asked again, and he responded with something like, "Does it matter?" and left the room, sleeping on a couch. I spent all night confused. Today I downloaded the app and looked up my ring, and I found one that looked identical. I found the exact ring, and it was listed at $38. I'm angry. He makes good money, $200K a year, and I feel like he could have spent some money on a ring better than one in Temu. Am I the idiot for telling my fiance I don't want my Temu engagement ring? Edit. I don't need a 10K ring. Just preferably one from a place that's not like the bottom of the barrel. When I met him, I was making just over 100K, and he was working part-time and doing an internship, bringing in significantly less than me. He totaled his car early on in our relationship, and I happily drove him to work every morning on the way to my work when he didn't have a car. When his mom got sick and went into hospice, I immediately canceled all of my travel plans and holiday plans with my family and sat with him, visiting her every day for months. I helped with funeral arrangements. I helped plan his brother's wedding. I even loaned him money for a new car once he started his new job. He did pay me back, by the way. He moved in with me recently, and almost everything in the home is mine, which I paid for prior to the relationship, furniture, etc. I've paid for so many plane tickets for our travels, concert tickets, etc., that I've never asked him to pay back and never will. That's what a relationship is. I genuinely care for him, and I genuinely don't understand the motive for such a ring. I just don't see the motive for any of this. Normally, I'd celebrate someone who didn't buy into all the engagement and wedding spend yourself to bankruptcy thing, but $38? As we say in the UK, I'm as tight as a duck's rear with money, but I'd spend a little more than that to at least get a reasonably high carat gold band and then save on the gemstones. Girl, you aren't even asking for a 5K ring. You're asking for a ring made out of a known material that isn't essentially from Claire's. You got costume jewelry. A $38 Temu ring from somebody who earns over 200K? Seriously? That's spitting right in your face, even for somebody who doesn't care a bit about money. That's just outright disrespectful. Now, having seen you put considerable effort into the relationship, it's quite clear about the effort he's putting in, and the ring value is a symptom of that, not the sum of it all. And he's a liar. The fact that he had to check if it was a diamond or moissanite made me laugh so hard. Bro, he got it on Temu. He had to look up whether it was a real diamond. It was $38. He knew it wasn't a real diamond. At that price, it's at best epoxy and shattered glass, set in a metal ring with hazardous levels of heavy metals. I'm shocked her finger didn't turn green within 24 hours. But he did so much research. I don't care at all about a diamond versus whatever, but this screams no thought, effort, or real value on any of it. A Temu ring tells me he wants a Temu marriage. Thoughtless, low quality, and temporary. I would be extremely hurt as well. I'm sorry. Get it appraised if you need to show him what a piece of junk he bought. The appraiser's going to feel so bad. After laughing, he'll probably do it for free. You must paint the band's inside with a thick layer of silicone, or at least fingernail polish to protect your skin. I take a picture of it every week or so that he could see the deterioration as the bits of badly mounted glass work loose and start to wiggle about and get lost. Update. Am I the idiot for telling my fiance I don't want my Temu engagement ring? After reading your responses, I was freaking out a bit. He came home while I was FaceTiming a friend about this. I hung up with her and talked to him for an hour or so. He apologized for sleeping on the couch and said he needed time to think. He doesn't see eye to eye with me on my concerns about the ring and says he did research and that it was highly rated. He says if the ring breaks, he'll replace it, but he didn't say it'd be of higher quality. I have people telling me that the ring could be harmful to my health and that Temu has horrible standards for their jewelry and labor issues, so now I really don't want to wear it. He left and went to his brother's house. I'm just sitting here trying to figure out what to do next. He texted me to let me know he plans on staying at his brother's for the weekend and is taking Friday off. It's not crazy abnormal since he's been watching football over there, but I feel like he's avoiding me now. I'm trying not to be pushy about the situation and I'll give him some space, but ugh, now I'm just in my head about all of it and regretting my initial reaction. It's just a dumb ring, and maybe I've read too much into it. The only other time we've had an argument like this, it was resolved within a couple of hours, so I'm not used to this behavior from him. Girl, he doesn't even need to gaslight you because you're twisted into a pretzel trying to justify his behavior to yourself. Actions speak louder than words. He hid it from you. He hasn't told anyone where he got it from. You acknowledged that he would be embarrassed if other people knew. He knew you would be upset if you knew. And he knew the fact that it was cheap junk would soon be exposed. He knows what he did is awful, but he didn't care. He doesn't care how it makes you feel. He doesn't care if it's hazardous to your health. He doesn't care that this has hurt you. He doesn't care about what you want or what matters to you. This is not a man who respects you or even seems to like you very much. Now that your usefulness to him for financial and emotional support has dwindled, he doesn't see the need for any investment from his side into actually making the person he's supposed to love feel respected and loved. If you accept this, he knows you'll accept scraps for the rest of your life together. The fact that he's now making you feel bad, sulking and avoiding you instead of doing self-reflecting and apologizing, should tell you everything you need to know. You already spent 3 years of your life with this man. He could at least give you the respect to face you and talk about it. He doesn't seem respectful of you at all. This is unsalvageable, and you deserve better than this tool. I, 25 female, and my husband, 27, have a complicated history together, especially concerning his family. I met him on a blind date in college, and he asked me to be his girlfriend on our second date. He's always been sweet, trying to be considerate of my feelings, especially when it comes to his family. His mother's always been against our relationship from the start, mostly due to the reasons I think I might be the idiot here. He had a friend, let's call her Annie, who passed away when he was a teenager. He's always been close with her and insisted they were platonic. However, his mother always talked about how they were supposed to get married as adults, and I was his second choice, and he wouldn't have married me if she was alive. It always hurt, in all honesty, and I've tried as hard as I can to be accommodating to her and her grief, as she cared about Annie a lot and was even friends with her mother. Annie was a great girl, and I do wish I could have gotten to know her, but it hurts being constantly compared to this woman that my husband could have been with, especially since we already have a son who his mother isn't allowed to see because of her insistence that he's not her real grandbaby because he isn't Annie's. So this is where I think I probably overreacted and could be the idiot. We found out 2 months ago that we were having a baby girl, and we were ecstatic. I was worried he'd be one of those boy-only fathers, but he almost cried when he found out we'd have a girl. Our son is also over the moon, constantly talking to his sister and asking for her name, which has become an issue, as he recently asked us to name our daughter after Annie, which was upsetting, especially since his mother's so hung up about them being together. We ended up arguing slightly, and I'm currently staying with my son at a friend's house. Am I overthinking this? I just don't know what to do. His mom has been blowing up my messages. I don't even know how she got my messenger. He and I haven't spoken to her since our son's first birthday. My mom has told me to stop arguing over it and just let him choose her name, since she is his only daughter. My friend says that I was overreacting for leaving. Still, I just needed time for myself, and I didn't want to confront him right now. Oh, heck no on naming your daughter by his deceased ex. What is wrong with him to even suggest such a thing? This would be my hill to die on. Your husband is wrong. Your mother-in-law's awful. Do not let this happen. Make sure he doesn't get to fill out the birth certificate. I cannot fathom the gross insensitivity of this request and your mother-in-law's behavior. This name is now toxic to your marriage. The fact you let it get to the point you've had to leave your home whilst pregnant is not right. You can get by it, but he needs to understand that he could damage the relationship between you and your daughter before she's born, cause resentment with her brother because she's a favorite, and cause trauma for you every time her name is mentioned. OP, I'm sorry you're dealing with this nonsense. Your mother-in-law is a whack job, and Hubs is just playing into it. I'm 29 male, and my wife is 30 female. We've been together for 5 years. We met each other during a seminar, and we clicked, started dating, and eventually got married. My wife had already told me she was in a very serious relationship with her school friend's brother. They were planning to get married, but she fell out of love with him, and they broke up when he went for an education and a job in a foreign country. She hasn't met him in the past 9 years. Enough of the backstory. 5 days ago, it was my birthday. We wanted to do something special, so we had been planning for it for a month. We're also on a tight budget, so we discussed who we were inviting. Basically, we agreed that both our families were invited, even extended, and some of our neighbors, friends, and colleagues, only those we know. On that day, I didn't know that my wife had invited her ex as well, which was a shock to me when I saw him. I was really shocked. I called my wife to meet me upstairs, asked her what he was doing here, and she said he came with her sister. I said, we'll have a discussion later. At my party, I saw him hugging my wife, and he greeted and hugged me as well. We talked just as a formality, and my wife was spending time with her friends, and he also joined. I guess because he's from the friend circle? After the party, I confronted my wife and asked her what she was thinking. She asked me what? I asked her why her ex was here when I had never met him and why she didn't tell me. She said he came back for a few months over the holidays, and her friend told her and urged my wife to invite him. I told my wife she should have discussed that with me. It's my birthday party, and I should have the right to decide who will join us and who will not. It isn't some random guy. It's her ex. She said it wasn't that big of a deal, and it was only for a few hours. She said she didn't tell me because I would object to it because she knows me, and she wanted all of her friends to be invited. I completely lost my temper when she said that. I said, so you chose your friends over your own husband? I said in my anger, do you have any idea how it feels to see your partner's ex on your special day? Especially when it's for the first time. Would you like it if I invited my ex to your birthday party without telling you, and my ex hugged me and laughed with me? Would you be okay? It was supposed to be my special day, but you ruined it by inviting your ex. It would be one thing if we were on friendly terms and knew each other. She started sobbing and said I'm blowing it out of proportion. It's not that serious, and I'm hurting her with my words. We haven't talked to each other for the past couple of days. She told her parents and sister, and they said that I was overreacting and that it wasn't a big deal. I simply told them that if I invited one of my exes to her birthday party without telling her, would she like it? They said that I'd be just taking revenge. I said I wouldn't hurt her, but she should have thought about this multiple times and discussed it with me. She simply thought that it might hurt me. So, am I the idiot here? She's being manipulative by her sob story and trying to drag others into it. She wants validation and to not feel guilty for her mistake. The fact that she doesn't respect your feelings is absolutely disgusting. You are massively underreacting. I would be splitting accounts and preparing for divorce if she can't admit she's wrong. Actually, your wife did think of you. She said she knew that you would care, so she didn't ask. This ex has also recently moved back to the area, and she didn't mention it. He's clearly been hanging with the friend group as well. In my opinion, it's concerning that her ex came back into her life and she hid it at first, and then invited him to her husband's birthday party. By telling you that inviting your ex would be wrong because it's for revenge, they're admitting that what she did was hurtful. They're probably more concerned about the fallout than admitting the truth. Ouch, this. I didn't realize OP's wife said that. Talk about snakes and vipers, and look at that. She is one. It wasn't a careless oversight. She did give it thought, She knew you would object, so she snuck him in and blamed it on her sister. Maybe not a sinister act, but definitely an intentional slight to her husband and his feelings on his darn birthday. My ex and I share custody of our tween son, Caleb. He had ODD and ADHD when he was a kindergartner. It was so bad that he got kicked out of summer camp and went through multiple sitters, all before he was 6. His mom and I worked, so being a stay-at-home parent wasn't an option. A few summers ago, we found our unicorn sitter, Mike. We have no idea how Mike makes it work, but he does. Caleb has been a different kid ever since Mike started working for us. He's so well-behaved, polite, and social. Mike is like his best friend. We joke that Mike is Caleb's executive assistant. Earlier this year, Caleb became friends with a classmate named Luke. They wanted a sleepover playdate and everything was good until we said that Mike would pick up both boys, bring them to my place, go to the pier, and then back home to go to bed. Luke's mom flat out said she wasn't comfortable with a male sitter. I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. She said it was too weird for a male to babysit and wasn't cool with it. I said she didn't need to explain herself and there would be no playdates with our kids outside of school. She wasn't expecting that. I told her if she's not okay with the male caregiver, then she probably wouldn't be okay with Luke spending the night at my place since I'm a single dad. I pointed out that she was the first parent to have a problem with this, and Mike occasionally works for other families at the school. She was offended that I was offended. I ran into Luke's mom, who said she needed a sitter for a couple of weeks as her old sitter quit, and the new sitter wasn't free until mid-September. She then asked if Mike would be free. She even said she'd need overnight. I told her, you can't be serious. You just said you didn't trust Mike, and now you want him to watch your son so you can have a social life? I admit that it took guts to ask. I told her no, we would not share our nanny. You said that it was sus when a guy has a childcare job. She said she was joking and that Mike was a nice guy. I said I know he is, but you can't use him. For the record, the days and times that she needed him were days he was working with us. She would have paid him on top of what we pay, but Mike would be at Luke's house or his place. My ex and I don't mind Mike double dipping on sitter fees by watching more than one kid because he can make a lot of money and Caleb gets a play date. This was an exception where I did her a problem. Ultimately, it's not your place to make the decision for Mike unless you have a contract signed, and if he wants to freelance a little, he needs your permission. In that sense, you are the idiot. But I understand your reservations. Let Mike know and explain why you delayed telling him, but you have to let Mike decide. Withholding this from him and him finding out another way will not be good for your working relationship. You are the idiot, absolutely, for thinking you get to decide Mike's schedule and choose what other clients he picks up. You said he already nannies and babysits for other kids. If you suddenly start disliking one of those parents, do you honestly think you have the right to tell him he must no longer provide his services to them? Unpopular opinion, but not the idiot. As a masculine nanny myself, there's a lot of discrimination against male or masculine caregivers, and I would never want to work with any parent that said something like that. You saved Mike the trouble of dealing with someone who probably wouldn't have treated him well. If the family I worked for approached me with this situation, I would have immediately declined because this woman clearly wouldn't treat me with respect and would put me in, at the very least, a very uncomfortable situation. All in all, I think you did the right thing and saved everyone time and hassle. This wouldn't have even been a viable option for Mike.